yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. Even though a significant part of my identity is always going to be tied to Croatia, because this is my homeland, this is where I grew up, and the language, my mother tongue, is Croatian. Nowadays, at 22 years old, I definitely feel I identify as a European primarily. So it is difficult to pin down exactly the beginning of my European moment. I would say that the whole process started in 2013 when Croatia entered the European Union. I was 15 back then. I didn't think much about, to what I relate to, my identity, my core values, etc. I was being a 15-year-old in high school. But in 2013, 2014, I started actually traveling a lot throughout the European Union through various projects that were offered to me through the European Union. And I started encountering other cultures, meeting lots of new people from all over Europe. And actually I think that was the moment when I started building myself, my identity as someone who lives in Europe, as someone who identifies as a European. So regarding my opinion on what the worst moment in recent European history was, I have to say that it's a very difficult question, and there have been a lot of actually really, really bad stuff happening throughout the European Union that don't necessarily directly influence my life, but I can recognize them as really, really bad. Also, there were stuff that directly influenced my life for the worse, but in general could not be considered as bad. So in recent European history, going back 20, 30, 40 years, I have to say that the Yugoslav Civil War, or the Croatian Civil War, was the worst thing that happened in recent European history, regarding not just the horrible crimes committed by Serbs, Bosniaks, and Croats alike, the lives lost, the destruction that was sowed, but also regarding the international response, the bombing of Belgrade, the UN peacekeeping forces, blunders in Srebrenica, etc. So that was a period, in my opinion, one of the worst periods in recent European history. So regarding the best moment in recent European history, the story is the same. It's very difficult for me to assess what could actually be considered as the best moment in European history. But I have to say that the last 5 years have been one of the best, in my opinion, for the common people, for the common European, even though there have been difficult situations regarding not just the pandemic, but the political situations in certain countries, the behavior of certain governments, etc. I think that through the legislation that has been passed, through the market that has been shaped, one of the most, if not the highest quality market and the most accessible market in the world, and through various protections like the right to repair that is about to be passed, or the GDPR that actually protects the common people, I have to say that the last couple of years have actually been, in my humble opinion, the best for the European Union, in spite of all of the hardships that we've gone through as a union. So regarding the things that I think the European Union has done that have impacted my life the most, I would have to say that these are things considering my education and my everyday consumption of goods and services. So by education, becoming a member of the European Union has granted me the ability to actually access international universities, international projects such as Erasmus, to travel abroad using only my ID, which is something unprecedented still in the modern world. So it has granted me unprecedented mobility and actual ability to ascend the social ladder, the social hierarchy, by studying and working abroad. Regarding my consumption of everyday products, through the standards the European Union has put in place throughout the past couple of years, the quality of the products, so food, water, and general services, has actually climbed up significantly. And these are things that have impacted my life the most in the past couple of years, and that are a direct consequence from the actions taken by the European Union. So regarding the one thing that I would like for the European Union to have achieved by 2030 is the move to a confederacy, or a move to put in place a system that is more interconnected, that has stronger ties, and that has a bigger emphasis on actually building a European identity in its inhabitants, so in the people that actually live in Europe, rather than focusing on national identities. I don't think that creating a European identity would stifle national cultures and norms and ways of life. I do believe, however, that creating and focusing on strengthening the ties between the members of the European Union, and actually focusing on creating a European identity would help the European Union long term regarding the coordination of certain actions, of trade deals, of responses to certain world events, and would generally be helpful regarding the problems that the European Union faces now, which stem from nationalism and from actually national identities, and them being exploited by authoritarian leaders today.